Hello class. I wanted to take a minute and show you how you can answer essay number 1. So let me go to my notes here. So essay 1 is about Hedda Gabler. So we have two options to choose from. Number 1, the question is, what are the different human follies, life problems, or social ills that Ibsen criticizes through the play? Explain. Instead of elaborating too much on one problem or point, please make your essay as wide-ranging as possible. So here's how I would approach that question. I would first have an introduction paragraph. And in this introduction paragraph, I would include background on the author. Heinrich Ibsen is from Norway. He lived during this period. He wrote plays about these topics. And I would give a little bit of information about the general idea of the play. Hedda Gabler is about a newlywed woman and the difficulty she faces with her husband. Your thesis statement then should mention the different social ills that Ibsen criticizes here. So I would aim for 3. Try to think of 3 social problems or flaws that Ibsen represents in this play. And your thesis statement should list what those 3 problems are. Then, in your paper, each body paragraph would be focused on one of those social problems. So paragraph 1, make your topic sentence about what that problem is and what Ibsen says about it, and then back that up with some specific references to parts of the play to show your reader, how this particular folly or social ill is represented and what Ibsen might be trying to say about it. And so each of your body paragraphs would be addressing a different social problem. Now, some of the social problems you might want to discuss, I have a list here. We see alcoholism here. We see prostitution in here. We see marital problems. We see issues about class difference. Someone coming from a higher or lower class than someone else. We see the limitations of a woman's life in a domestic role. That's a very important issue about women's liberation and what women should or shouldn't be able to do. We see elements of the patriarchy here, of men having more authority and agency in society than a woman does. And last but not least, in the end, we definitely see an issue about firearms. And so either of these social ills would be an appropriate topic for your body paragraph. And then, in the conclusion, you want to sum up your main points about these social problems and give us some perspective on how Ibsen is treating these issues in his work. Now, that's the first option you can choose. The second option you can choose is a compare and contrast essay. So let's read the question. Compare and contrast Hedda and Thea. So that's Hedda Gabler and Thea Elvsted. Explain their characteristics with specific examples or episodes from the text. How does Ibsen challenge social stereotypes about good woman through these characters, or good womanhood, I should say, through these characters? Who is the good woman as per the social definition, and is she really so at heart? Why do you think Ibsen raises such confusion about stereotyping good womanhood by making the truly good woman look bad, or the bad woman look good? What is he trying to convey? And so here, you want to take that question apart and deal with it in smaller pieces. First, you need an introduction that, just like that other introduction, you want to give some background on the play, on the author, and then your thesis statement is going to be what the similarities and differences are between Hedda and Thea. In the first body paragraph, I would address that issue of what it means to be a good woman. What is a good woman in this period? What would a woman be expected to do, and how should she behave? Put that into your own words. Then I would move on to an analysis of the two characters. Describe in paragraph 2 Thea Elvsted. Is she a good woman according to this definition? How so? Or how not? Then in the last body paragraph, and I would make this paragraph a little longer than the others, take some time to describe Hedda Gabler. Is she a good woman according to the definition that you established? Also, how does she differ from Thea? They are both women in the same social class, but there are some very important differences in how they choose to act. So explain the differences between her and Thea. And then, in the conclusion of the essay, sum up your main points about Hedda and Thea. What are their main characteristics that you want the reader to remember? And end this with some reflection of what Ibsen is trying to say about women in the play. In the conclusion, you could deal with that last question in the prompt. Why do you think Ibsen raises such confusion about stereotyping good womanhood by making the truly good woman look bad or the bad woman appear good? In other words, why the confusion about the typical good woman in the play? What kind of point do you think he's trying to get across there? Okay, so remember, when you write your essay, you want it to be clearly divided into paragraphs. You want to show me that you can organize your ideas effectively. Always include an introduction paragraph, always include a conclusion paragraph, and you should aim for about 3 body paragraphs. Remember, this essay should be 2.5 pages long and 12-point Times New Roman font. So that's about 500 to 750 words. Also, take a look at the grading rubric. On our website, you can look under grading rubrics and you'll see the discussion rubric, and then under grading rubrics, you'll see the written essay rubric. This is what I will use to grade your work. So I'll be grading your work on the quality of your argument, your ability to critically analyze a text. I'll be grading you on the use of textual evidence. Do you back up your main points with specific examples from the play? That's how you will get a good grade here, is using lots of good examples from the play. Next, organization. This is where your paragraphing comes into play. Do you have an intro and a conclusion and clear body paragraphs? Do you have topic sentences that express the main idea of those paragraphs? All of that goes into good organization. And then grammar. This last one is for grammar mechanics and formatting. If you use a direct quote, you need to cite the page number in parentheses immediately after the quote. This is where I'll be grading you on how well you cite your sources and on your grammar. If there's any grammar errors, you're going to lose points here. Okay, so familiarize yourself with this rubric because that's what I'll be using to grade your work. And if you have any questions about the essay, remember you can always feel free to email me.